don't know if I've done this right. I'm not sure if I've done this right. If anyone's here and can hear me, can you let me know? Otherwise I might have to give a miss. Oh, hi. Okay. Hi. How are you? Good morning, good evening. Yes, it's I'm trying to work out how I can read the comments best. I just got back a little earlier than I thought I was going to. I went to a comedy show with my friend. We went and saw Joel Creasy, who was very funny. Ooh, where's my candle? I've lost my lighter, so I'm doing two things at once. Yeah, we went to a comedy festival and she was feeling very tired, so she didn't want to hang out afterwards. So I got home earlier than I thought I was. And I haven't had a chance to make a video in like 3 weeks. So I know I haven't been around much. So I thought, since my hair looked cute and I was home early, I might pop on and say hi to you guys. I know it's very spontaneous and I don't know what the time difference is like if anyone's going to be up, but apparently a few of you are, so hello. How are you all? I hope you're all well. Just putting a bunch of smoke everywhere, because why not? Hi Lippy, how are you? I can't really read the comments, I can just see like little profile pictures that I recognize. And Tara's is very easy. Here awake. Morning Sassy Pants. Are you calling me Sassy Pants? I only get my sassy on sometimes. Hi Butterfly. Hi everyone. I didn't really have a plan. I didn't think this through. Okay, I can read your comments there. Having coffee this morning. Great to see you. Yeah. Has it felt like a while since I posted a video? For me it feels like forever, but maybe for you guys you didn't even notice. The internet time on the internet, I don't know, it feels like it moves differently for all of us. But yeah, I feel like I've kind of not been on in a while. And I knew, seeing as I got home early, sorry if the lighting's terrible, it is like nearly 11 o'clock at night. I knew because I got home early, I had a few choices. Either I could have a shower, go to bed early and keep reading my book. It's a good book. More likely though, I'd go back on YouTube and like watch all the interviews of BTS, which I've been doing enough of the last 4 days. My other choice was to come on and say hi. So here we are. What have you guys been up to? Oh, my thing keeps freezing. Is there anything you wanted me to talk about in particular? Because I mean, I can talk about what I've been reading. I could talk about... No, reading's been most of what I've been doing. I've been reading so much lately, which has been really good because I know I said, I think I only read about 15 books last year. Which, you know, is great. You know, if some people read 10 books a year, they're happy with that. But for me, that's not very much compared to what I normally do. So I was quite disappointed in that for myself. But I've read about 20 books this year so far. Which for some people might be a lot, for some people might not be a lot, but for me, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I've already beaten last year's total, so I'm on a good track, especially the last like 6 weeks or so. I've read a lot, which has been really good. This probably helps that I now work in a bookshop. So I'm just surrounded by all this inspiration, and you know, like a big part of my job is cleaning up the shelves and putting new books on the shelves, and it's like every 10th book I'm like, I might keep this one for me. And so, you know, if I'm going to justify buying a new book, I have to have finished that last one. So I'm reading a lot more, which is amazing. I can't read it from down here. My daughter was clear to tell me that BTS is not behaving as badly with women as other K-pop groups. No! Have you heard about... Yeah, no, that was pretty terrible, some of that stuff. BTS are wonderful. Some of their past is slightly questionable, although by Western standards, it's better, like it's tame. And you know, boys growing up in the spotlight, right? Anyway, I've been like living and breathing BTS for the last 4 days. I bet your daughter was excited. Today's favorite oracle. Is that a question about like what oracle decks I'm liking at the moment? Not really using a lot of oracle decks. I did get sent the Sacred Mothers and Goddesses deck by Claudia. I have to email Claudia. Oh my god. She sent this to me as a gift. So I've been kind of playing around with this. It won't be to everyone's tastes. There's plenty of, you know, things that people can say about this deck. And I don't think it's one I'm going to do a review on or anything. But as a personal deck to draw a card and just kind of think about and have as a cute card on my altar, I've really been enjoying it. I drew a card a couple of days ago for myself that's on my altar, and I've been using the Guardian Angel Tarot by Doreen Virtue, our beloved one and only Doreen Virtue. I know she's she's recently kind of pumped herself back into our community with her. She just loves it, doesn't she? Every year or so wants to have another say just to get herself trending, I think. But I love that deck. Don't love her, but I love that deck. So I've been using that quite a bit lately, which is I kind of use as an oracle. I don't really use as a tarot deck, but yeah, so those have been, and then I've also been using, show some of the cards. How is the video quality, actually? I just remembered my video quality is normally terrible live. Show some cards of what the Guardian Angel. I can do that. Not that there's really particularly interesting pictures. Yeah. The lighting's not great in here either, but I love the backings. And I love this deck because I think other people have said it too. Reminds me of my Catholic grandmother, who was my favorite person in the world. So this deck is kind of my little, I don't know. It's not, I don't feel like I'm communicating with her when I use these cards. It's more just this bittersweet nostalgia of something that I love, cards, tarot, reminding me of someone that I loved. And I'm not sure how she would feel about these having been Catholic, but yeah, just the images and everything remind me a lot of her. So yeah, I've been having those feels lately. I couldn't see clearly, and in my camera and my screen, I thought these were poodles just for a second. I was like, oh, are there poodles in this deck? No, they're sheep. But, you know, I'm probably going to start thinking of them as poodles now. So yeah, that's the Guardian Angel Tarot. And I did I do a review? I definitely did like a walkthrough. I've shown these cards on the channel before. And I think a few people were very surprised to see me opening up a Doreen Virtue Tarot deck, but specifically a very angel-y Doreen Virtue Tarot deck. But I definitely feel like angel cards have their place, and for me, the Guardian Angel Tarot definitely has a place. Oh, hello everyone. Katie, good to see you. Hello, thank you, you too. And will you be reviewing any of the books you've read recently? I don't know. How about I tell you some of the books that I've been reading, and you can tell me if you want to hear See, I find it hard to review books because I don't really feel like I'm an intellectual. Like I don't read super critically, especially with fiction. Like, you know how I don't see all of those layers and metaphors this way other people do. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm not very clever in that sense, but I think I just read differently. So I can definitely talk about the books I've read and what I liked and what I didn't, what I picked up from them. So what have I read recently? Where should I start from? How about I just tell you what I've read this year? No, that's probably too many. My least favourite book I've read all year was The Story of King Arthur and His Knights by Howard Pyle. That took me like 8 weeks to finish. I hated it. It was just a children's book, and I love like Merlin and King Arthur, but that, it was horrible. I think I've spoken about a few of these. A Field Guide to Getting Lost by Rebecca Solnit. Loved that. Wind in the Willows. Finally read that. What did I give it? I didn't love that, to be honest. I thought I would, and I didn't. Actually, by the end of it, I had some pretty strong feelings of not liking it. Foreign Soil by Maxine Clark. Possibly one of my new favourite books ever. Where is it? Do I have it out somewhere? Yeah. And actually, this is quite exciting. This is a series of short stories, and possibly one of my new favorite books, basically. Where is it? After I read this, I looked Maxine up because I'd heard her name quite a bit before. And that weekend she was launching Growing Up African in Australia, which she co-edited. So there was like a book launch for this the week after I finished this. So I went along to the book launch, got the book, got to meet a bunch of the contributors, got the book signed by Maxine and a bunch of the contributors. There was a bunch of readings, people reading parts of their own stories. This is what it sounds like growing up African in Australia. It was amazing getting to hear these stories and read these stories and meet some of these people. And then I also asked Maxine if she would sign my Foreign Soil, and she did. She wrote, "Dear Katie, words change the world, Maxine Benova Clark." So that was a bit special. Falling head over heels in love with a new book, falling in love with a new author, and meeting her the same week. And I've also bought, here we go. Another one of her books is The Hate Race, which I think is kind of more or less her memoir. So I'm going to be reading that very soon. But yeah, a little bit obsessed with her. Can't recommend. I mean, if you're in Australia and you enjoy reading kind of, you know, testimonies, people telling their own stories, I think this is something that's really important to read. Especially, I live in a suburb where a lot of Africans live, especially Sudanese. We have a lot of Vietnamese as well, but there's a lot, like a big Sudanese population, as well as from other African countries. So for me, I just feel like it was extra super important. In fact, several of these are actually based in around where I live. But this is fiction short stories and was just genuinely beautiful and amazing. Possibly one of my favorite books I've read so far this year. So that's kind of like a mini review. I read We Crossed a Bridge and It Trembles, which I spoke about in my recent favorites video. I read Karlik, Encounters with Elemental Beings. Where's that? I have a few of the books that I've read recently here. My bookshelves at home are not as neat as my bookshelves at work. This is just a little book I picked up from work because I thought Meeting Fairies by Art Ogilvy Crombie is one of my favourite books ever. And I kind of thought this might be similar, and I suppose it sort of is, but at the same time it doesn't have the same charm that Meeting Fairies does. It's a lot more simplistic, and yeah, a lot less charming is ultimately the best way I can think to describe it. So I didn't dislike it, but what did I give it? Because I have a rating out of 6. I gave it 3. So didn't dislike it. Glad it was a short read. This month I read Gilgamesh. I've had this on my shelf forever. And this is a translation or kind of like restructuring by Stephen Mitchell. And I've read that this is just kind of maybe not the most accurate translation or whatever, but it's one of the easier to read. And it was very easy to read. I actually really enjoyed it. I found it quite moving, which I wasn't necessarily expecting. So yeah, that was kind of like a fun read that I'm glad I got to, finally. Gave that 5 out of 6. There you go. Oh, I listened to The Unexpected Joy of Being Sober by Catherine Gray. It was on Audible, a sale, around the time. It was my 6th anniversary being sober. Thank you, thank you. So I listened to that and I really liked it. I really liked it. I mean, I identified with a lot of her story. She was kind of like, you know, young and fun and a party girl, and people just thought she was fun, but then, you know, just all got a bit out of hand. And I loved what she said. She said a lot that, you know, I never thought I'd be the person drinking in the morning until I did. I never thought I'd be the sort of person who, you know, did this until I did. And I really identified with that. I was like, fuck yeah. A lot of people think, oh, I'd never be that person, and so therefore I don't have a problem. But everybody thinks that until they do the thing, and then you find ways of justifying it or minimizing it. Yeah, so that I really identified with. I didn't identify so much with her, like her journey trajectory, I suppose. I think she got worse. I don't like to have those sort of comparisons. Her drinking, I think, was more problematic than mine was. I was a lot younger when I stopped. But her life turned around pretty quickly in a very positive way after stopping, whereas mine got worse after stopping for a short period of time. I think most of you will know that story. The months after getting sober were the hardest of my life. So the trajectories of our stories were different, but I still identified with a lot of it, and I really enjoyed that. So if you're like me and being sober and just want a bit of, I don't know, you know how it's just kind of validating to hear someone who's been on a similar journey? Or if you're thinking about, you know, perhaps your drinking's problematic, and whether you want to stop drinking or not, you just want to hear some stories, whatever, I would really recommend it. Her audiobook sounded like it was just her, like, doing it herself. And she's kind of like quietly spoken and British, and I don't know, it was just, I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. Yeah. Next book I read was Growing Up African in Australia, which I loved. I just finished listening to Better Than Before by Gretchen Rubin. That was another book on sale on Audible. I bought a bunch of books that were on sale. What did I give that? I gave that 3 out of 6. Here's what I wrote. I didn't love this, and I didn't particularly like the author, but I did find a few nuggets that inspired some thought. Yeah, she annoyed me quite a bit. A lot of the stuff she said just sounded really not particularly self-aware and very full of privilege. And also she was quite preachy. She spent a lot of time saying that, you know, there's no right way for everybody and everybody's different, but then also kind of really harping on about how this low carb diet she's on has saved her life and everybody should do it. I don't know. So didn't particularly like her. Didn't really like a lot of what she said, but there's one cool part where she kind of breaks down individuals. She says most of us fall into one of 4 categories. And what were they? There were upholders, questioners, obligers, and rebels. And I am 100% an obliger. So that was really, you know how you just have a new way of thinking about yourself, and therefore that kind of helps you understand some of the decisions you make and that sort of thing. Yeah, that was good, especially the way she was describing obligers, how, you know, we get a lot of validation and motivation externally. We're much more concerned with letting other people down rather than letting ourselves down, all of that sort of stuff. And I was kind of like, yeah, that's me, but at the same time, every now and then I just kind of snap and do the opposite and don't give a shit about anybody else and get really resentful and fuck everybody. And then as I'd finished thinking that, she's like, but also with obligers, sometimes they get burnt out and they get this rebellious streak where they just say no to everything. I'm like, okay, yep, I'm covered, I'm an obliger. So hi, my name's Katie and I'm an obliger. So that was kind of fun to recognize myself in that. And I also liked, she said towards the end of the book that the reward for a good habit is the habit itself. I really liked that. I think she kind of was quoting someone else or something, but just the idea that, you know, we often have in our head, like, you know, if I don't know, what's a habit someone's trying to form? I don't know. I can't think of something. Hi, my name's Katie and I'm an obliger. Yes. You know, if you're trying to read every day, you know, the reward shouldn't be to, I don't know, that's not a very good one. I think her example was, you know, if somebody's trying to diet and not eat chocolate or something, and so they tell themselves, if I don't eat chocolate for a month, then I get to have a bar of chocolate. And she's saying how a lot of the time we do that, our rewards are actually like just kind of going against what our habit is that we're trying to form. And if we've decided we want to try and form a habit, it's because we can see the benefit in what it will do for our life long term. And so therefore, rather than trying to reward ourselves with an anti-habit or the antidote to the habit, we should just be finding the reward within the habit, if that makes sense. I didn't explain it very well, but that kind of was like one of those really obvious things that just kind of made me go, yeah. And actually, that got me thinking about YouTube, to be perfectly honest. I think, I wasn't planning on talking about this. Towards the end of last year, I think, yeah, my obliger nature, I had that rebellious snap. Where I think it was kind of starting as I made my rant video, and then I made another. I just was kind of like resenting a lot of the YouTube thing, and I didn't really understand why. And listening to her, I kind of clicked on to a few things. And I think it is a lot to do with this obliger tendency that she was talking about, that as much as I do enjoy making videos, sometimes, and I think this was true towards the end of last year, I was thinking more about what I was obligated to give. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was too concerned with what you guys wanted and what I should be giving you, and what, you know, I'm supposed to be giving you 2 videos a week and this is what you want. And if that makes sense, I was too concerned with that, because that's how I measure whether I'm valuable in the world, is by how others kind of assess that. And that's not sustainable for anybody. And so this obliger in me snapped and went, fuck y'all. I'm not doing any of that anymore. So kind of recognizing that and remembering that the reward, if I'm going to make videos and I want to do it consistently, which I do, then that's the reward. There's not some kind of external validation. That's not the reward. The reward is me enjoying putting out videos. Does that make any sense? I hope that didn't sound dicky. That was actually just a really helpful thing for me to think about. So even though I didn't particularly love the book, you know, you don't have to love a book to get some good stuff out of it. And then just recently I finished Wanda Smith, The Calling of Morrigan Crow. Last year, or was it even longer ago, I read Nevermore, which was the first book in the series. Here it is. Nevermore. So good. If you like Harry Potter, if you like children's fantasy, coming of age stories, please read Nevermore. It does start out, you can tell it's inspired, like the author was a fan of Harry Potter. It starts out a little Harry Potter, but I promise it stands on its own 2 feet. This is an Australian author, and it's so good. It's so good. Everyone who I've gotten to read this has come back and been like, yeah, it's great. Nevermore is the first one, The Trials of Morrigan Crow. The second one came out late last year, and I finally read it. And I actually didn't even realize I have a signed copy. There we go. I have a few signed copies in my collection. Yeah, I loved it. I don't want to give it too much away because then I might spoil the first book. What did I write down? I gave it 6 out of 6. I wrote, I loved this. It's such an exciting, compelling story, and it is developing really interestingly from the first book. There's still plenty of parallels with Harry Potter, just kind of like little things, You know, the fact that the character's 11 and those sort of things. It's not like storyline similar. It's just kind of fundamentals of fantasy similar or something. I don't really know. Just little things kind of remind me of elements from Harry Potter, but the story very much stands on its own, and the world she's created of Nevermore very much stands on its own. But not so many that it feels like a rip-off. The mystery of the ghastly market, the disappearances, and of the history of the Wondersmiths, alongside Morrigan's development as a Wondersmith and friendship with a certain individual, also good. Where's book 3? So, loved it. 6 stars. And then I'm currently reading, and I'm a little more than halfway through. I picked this up from work. What is the author? Sorry, Jessica Townsend. Yeah. It's so good. She won a bunch of awards, but it's only in Australia. We're small time. So I don't know, I don't think she's really gotten big outside of Australia. That's a very hard thing to do. I think any other country, it's hard to kind of break into another market. But yeah, I really enjoy it. It's fun. It's quite fast moving, like it doesn't feel like it bogs down too much. The characters are all really individual and alive. You know, just all you want from like a good children's fantasy, you know? Yeah, I really like it. And then yeah, City of Trees by Sophie Cunningham. This is essays on life, death, and the need for a forest. I only started this yesterday, and yeah, what am I, like a little more than halfway through? And this is by an Australian author as well, although she lived in America for a long time too. And the reason I bought it basically is because of this little excerpt on the back. It says, I smelled the lemon-scented gums before I saw them. The tree's skin glows as if lit from within. Their boughs swing low, heavy, with long, narrow leaves, with gum nuts and blossoms. Woody patches of bark nestle in their elbows and knees. Their fragrance drifts through peak hour traffic. So just anything, like I love gum trees, and actually there's like a whole chapter on gum trees, and she says at one point that people either hate them or are obsessed with them. And I'm obsessed. I love gum trees. Literally the mention of a gum tree made me buy a book. So it's just, I don't know, it's not literally like a book about trees. I think that's too simplistic. She obviously loves trees, and she kind of has an Instagram thing where she takes a picture of a tree every day and posts it on Instagram. So she's obviously very, like, trees are important to her. And a lot of the essays kind of involve trees, or a tree is kind of a part of the message or something. Like they relate to the story somehow, but there's a lot of discussion about politics, about history, about just her life in general. Like it's one of those kind of memoir history mix things that also involve a love of trees. And so I'm really actually enjoying it. It kind of took me a bit to get into, but now that I'm into it, I love it. So that's what I'm reading at the moment. And then I bought a few books. Where should I? No, I might embarrass myself with how many books I've bought lately. But someone did recommend this to me in my last favorites video, because I said that I really enjoyed, or that I was going to read Growing Up African in Australia. I don't remember. But they recommended, no, that was about We Crossed a Bridge and It Trembled. They recommended to me This Is Not a Border, Reportage and Reflection from the Palestine Festival of Literature. And so I haven't looked at this at all, but they kind of said it was similar to that, but from Palestinians rather than Syrians. Palestine is something I care about a lot. And I know that it's a tricky subject to talk about, because the discussion and I understand the necessity to be careful around language because anti-Semitism is real and it's dangerous and it's fucked up. But as far as I'm concerned, and my politics and my values are concerned, anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are not the same thing. And to me, yeah, colonialism, apartheid, those are things that should be criticised regardless of, you know, who they're coming from. So this is something I'm really excited to read about. And I suppose is also tied to something I have been asked about, which I don't want to talk about too much, was whether I'm boycotting Eurovision this year. People know I love Eurovision, but Israel is hosting, and I actually did. My friends and I were talking about going to Eurovision this year, and when Israel won, I said, no, I can't. And I'm not sure if I'm going to watch it yet this year, but we will see. Because yeah, I know people argue whether boycotts work or not, and I know they don't always, but they played a big role in bringing down apartheid in South Africa, so we can't say they don't work. But yeah, that's where I stand on that. I know that's probably made some people angry, but what are you gonna do? That's a book I'm looking forward to reading. And then I also bought a bunch of Rebecca Solnit books because I loved A Field Guide to Getting Lost so much. And especially when I heard that she wrote literally Wanderlust, a history of walking. You guys know how much I love walking and reading about walking. So yeah, I bought a bunch of Rebecca Solnit books. I have so many books to get through, but I'm just really loving reading this year. But yeah, so I don't know. What was the point of me going through all those? Oh, you guys were going to tell me if there's anything you want me to review, I suppose. I don't know. Those aren't usually, they're not like specifically tarot or witchy books really, but they're what I've really been enjoying reading. I should probably check the chat. I've just been rambling, haven't I? I'm so sorry. I don't remember where I was. I'm sorry, I've missed everybody's. How are you all? I hope you enjoyed my ramble about books. I love talking about books. It's okay to separate the work from the person. Was that about Doreen? Because I agree. Recently starting added Doreen decks to my collection. I think since she's taken herself away from them, they're growing on me. I like that. That's really funny. You are clever. Book review is not a book report for a teacher. That's very true. I have to take my own advice on that matter. I agree. Thank you. Hi, Claudia. Wait. Oh, no. Hi, Claudia. Wait, is that Claudia? Like deck Claudia? I've been meaning to email you. I'm sorry, I've been so busy. But thank you for your deck. I've been really enjoying it. It's been on my altar. Hello from India. Hello to India. Hello from Puerto Rico. Hello. Absolutely love all your videos. I'll find myself referring to them from time to time. You've been a huge blessing. Oh, thank you. That's very kind. Hi, Claudia. Sorry I missed you, and I'm sorry I haven't emailed you. I'm the worst. I owe so many people emails and messages. I'm just one of those people that if I don't do it straight away, I just kind of procrastinate, and then it stresses me out, so I avoid it, and then I get busy, so then I forget, and then I start to feel like it's been too long, and I'm sorry. But I will get to it eventually. Thanks for the Nevermore tip. Yes, definitely read it. If anybody reads Nevermore, tell me what you think, because I think you'll love it. Holy moly, Katie, maybe you might consider giving tips about speed reading. I am a very slow reader. Like, I'm actually physically a very slow reader, and you probably notice when I read out loud, I'm not very like fluent, and I don't flow very well. I didn't really read as a kid. I needed glasses and refused to get them. And so it wasn't until I was about 17 that I finally got glasses, and then I started reading properly. So I'm a very slow reader. Like, I read more slowly than I speak. I just try to read a lot, and it does help that I listen to audiobooks on the way to work and stuff. So, you know, if I listen to an audiobook and read a book, I tend to finish one or two or both of those a week, you know. And so I suppose this year I've just been really trying to make it a priority. Don't always succeed, but I've just been trying to make sure that I read at least a bit a day. I'm also getting better at choosing to read books that I want to read rather than books I feel like I should read, and that kind of makes me want to read more. I still haven't perfected, but I'm trying to learn to put a book down and stop reading it if I really don't like it. I wish I'd done that with King Arthur and his Knights, because that took me so long to get through, and I hated every part of it. Not every part, but really didn't enjoy my whole journey through that. So I think it's just about making time to read. And I know that looks different for everybody, but for me it was really just about deciding that it was a priority. And so rather than spending time doing other things, you know, deciding what part of my day I could give to reading, because it's something that matters to me a lot. And then also just, yeah, finding the things that excited me. And made me excited to read. And actually the Life's Library has been really helping me with that, I suppose. I don't know, the Life's Library is not always open for new members, but it's just, I think it's just the lifeslibrary.com or something. John Green and Rosianna started it. And they basically just send me a book every 6 weeks. And the idea behind it is to read books that we wouldn't normally pick up for ourselves, to kind of be exposed to new books. And so even if I don't love a book that they send me, kind of bringing that curiosity to reading again has been really good. And just kind of having something that's going to arrive every 6 weeks is also just kind of like a pacing thing, I suppose. And yeah, I don't think, if I hadn't have read things like We Crossed a Bridge and It Trembled, I don't know that I would have then picked up, you know, other books that are similar. I don't know that I would have really bothered reading. Or maybe I would have, but growing up African in Australia, like, it's just, I think we can very easily get used to the sort of things that we read. Like, oh, I read fiction, or I read pagan books, or I read, whereas kind of the Life's Library, and you don't have to do it through the Life's Library, you can do it any way you like, but for me the Life's Library is kind of getting me out of my own way. But also, a book every 6 weeks gives me enough space to still explore on my own and read on my own. So yeah, I don't know if any of that was helpful at all. I don't have any magic tip. I'm not a speed reader. I don't know how to read fast. I'm one of the people that literally read every single word, and like I hear it in my head. Yeah, I'm actually quite a slow reader. I just read a lot. Although I didn't last year. I just am reading a lot, very purposefully. Whereabouts in Australia are you from? Hello, I am from New South Wales originally, but I spent most of my life in Queensland, in Brisbane and in Townsville, and I now live in Melbourne. And I love Melbourne, and I don't want to be anywhere else. Might visit other places, but I've never felt at home in a place before. I've never felt like connected emotionally to a place before. I always felt like I lived somewhere, but and I might have felt connected to a home or a room, but I never felt that way about a city. And actually reading, where is it? I have so many books all over the place. City of Trees today, I kind of had a, I don't know, not an epiphany, but a little, you know, thought. I don't remember what she said or where she said it. But it was something about walking. And how walking is like writing a love letter. Here, it's somewhere here. Like she talks about Jane Eyre. I'll walk where my own nature would be leading. It vexes me to choose another guide. And then of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, whose heroine Elizabeth Bennet walks everywhere, often unescorted, much to everyone's consternation. I do not wish to avoid the walk, she insists. The distance is nothing when one has a motive. Only 3 miles. I shall make it back by dinner. And then she talks about how walkers... I don't know, she even talks about Maribyrnong and Footscray, where I live, and how if you make every walk a crusade, you connect to the place, and it's like writing a love letter to the city or something. I don't remember. And I just said to Blair today, I was like, maybe I do think Melbourne's fabulous, and I do feel like where I live suits me. But maybe I've fallen in love with it so much because I walk. Like we chose very actively not to get a car when we moved here. You know, partly for health reasons, largely for financial reasons, but also a big reason was, you know, we just feel like we don't need it, so why put that further impact on the environment? You know, I don't think everybody can do everything. Like, I'm not saying that I'm some moral being because I don't own a car. I do other things that you probably don't do. I just think if we all do those things that we can do, and for us, not owning a car is one of those things. So we live a pedestrian lifestyle. And so I wonder how much of that is why I love Melbourne so much and why I feel like Melbourne is mine, if that makes sense. Like I feel like I know Melbourne so well and like I'm connected to Melbourne so much. And only today I really thought about whether, I used to think it was all Melbourne. Like Melbourne is the reason I love Melbourne. And now I'm kind of wondering if it's also me and how much I've given to the city by walking through it all day, every day, by spending that really personal time with it. Maybe I've kind of developed that relationship with Melbourne as much as it has just offered itself to me. I don't know if that made any sense, but yeah, it kind of got me thinking about how much I love walking and why, and how much walking and participating in our environment that way can actually create a sense of belonging to a place. Yeah. Anyway, that was a tangent. I don't know how I got started on that. This is why we love editing, friends, because this is how I talk, and then I can put things into a video that at least resembles a discussion on a topic and not a bunch of rambles about different books. Where were we? Whereabouts are you in Australia? That was the question. Whereabouts in Australia am I from? And I got to talking about Melbourne and walking. I enjoy Dark Mirror Mysteries by Timothy Roderick. However, I really excited using my taxes refund to order books online. Yeah. Ordering books online is very dangerous. And that's how I ended up with so many books by Rebecca Solnit, because the only place I could get this book cheaply and easily was from a place that I had to pay a bit of postage from, which is fine. Like, that's a thing you have to do sometimes, believe it or not. So in order to make that postage feel more worthwhile, I got 4 books instead of 1, as you do. Hello from Philadelphia. Hello. I don't think it's me, but I'm glad you're liking someone's deck. What's a deck, by the way? No, that was, there's another Claudia in the chat. But hello, Claudia. That actually, seeing your name made me think of Claudia, and then I realized Claudia was in the chat. But the deck is Sacred Mothers and Goddesses by Claudia. She sent this to me as a gift, very generously. It's very pretty. And I think it's been published by Blue Angel, isn't it? Soon? Am I allowed to say that? It's a lovely deck. It's very pretty. And I like it a lot. I read like you, Katey, slowly and every word, yes. Got a phone call, but I think you mentioned my deck a while I was gone. I did. And I also mentioned that I should have emailed you but haven't, and that makes me a terrible person, and I'm very sorry. But thank you. I'm also in Melbourne, and I feel the absolute same about Melbourne feeling like home. Also in Footscray. Are you kidding? Footscray is seriously, I feel like I found where my soul belongs. I don't know if that, I love it so much. I love Footscray so much. And I've had someone ask me why I say we're like my suburb on the internet. And I don't know whether I'm sure other places, there must be other cities in the world that feel like this, but Melbourne, more than any city I've been in Australia at least, the suburbs are very self-contained and they have very much their own personality. Like Footscray is very different to Moonee Ponds or South Yarra or whatever. Like the suburbs have very distinct personalities, so I don't feel like I live in Melbourne. I live in Footscray. Do you know what I mean? It's a very specific place. It's kind of, I don't know. It has a very, very, very specific personality and character to it that the rest of Melbourne does not have. And I'm very, very grateful to live here. I love it. Walking meditation is a beautiful way to connect to your environment. You have explained in a very poetic way. I don't know about poetic, but thank you. I'm glad I made sense. I think walking into a bookstore is way more dangerous. Working in a bookstore is the most dangerous thing I've ever done. And I love it so much. It's literally a dream come true. And I get to spend all day with the most interesting books and a lot of decks. I'm basically the deck person at work now. When someone comes in with a tarot question, they're like, oh, I'll go get Katey. I'm like, yes, hello. I didn't realize I knew as much about tarot as I do. But now I'm glad I can put my body of knowledge to good use. Where was I? Haha, no worries, re-email, lol, and yes, the deck is being published by Blue Angel later this year, so good to know you're enjoying it. Okay, good. I'm glad I didn't give away any state secrets and they're not coming after me. Yes, it's lovely. Your art's beautiful. I really enjoy it as a personal deck. Definitely feel the same about Footscray and how the suburbs have personalities. Yeah, I don't, like Brisbane doesn't have that. I haven't been to Sydney. I'm going to Sydney in June. But, you know, Brisbane's the kind of like the main other big city, and then obviously Townsville, which is Townsville. But Brisbane doesn't have that at all. Not in the same way Melbourne does. Yeah, it's really special. That is a dream job. It is indeed. I'm not quite sure how I snagged it. But I'm very, very happy I did. Somebody asked to see a few cards of Claudia's deck. Oh no, that didn't work. Sorry, hold on. I put some incense on, but it didn't work. I don't know if you can start it up now. Oh, here we go. Oh, don't burn the house down, Katey. Has anyone seen these incense? We have them at work. And they're basically little matches, and you literally pull out a match and light the match. But then the matchstick is the incense. It's the coolest thing ever. And then you sit it on this little tray and let the incense go. And it's just 10 minutes of lovely incense. It's the best. Because, yeah, it's only 10 minutes. This is sandalwood. So it doesn't get too overpowering. And actually the scent itself is not... You know how some incenses are just like really strong and almost like that fake smelling? Like they're quite... I don't know. With me and my asthma and my hay fever, this is just kind of almost, you know, it'll give me a bit of a sniffle. But it won't, like, you know, make my eyes all red and sore because it's only 10 minutes and it's not, you can see, I don't know actually if you can see, but there's like a little bit of smoke, but it's not like, you know, not like, so yeah, there's a little tip. I love this stuff. I bought a bunch for Blair because he keeps going through all my candles. So I've got him some incense now. But yeah, that's lovely stuff. What were we doing? I was just going to show you a few cards. Now this is not a review, this is not me making any comments on this deck, although the backing's really cool, hey. All I can say is that the artwork's really pretty. And as just like a personal deck, which is all I'm using this deck for, it's just been quite soothing, I suppose, and nurturing. And it won't be a deck for everybody, but no deck is. And this is like, it's an oracle deck in case that wasn't. But yeah, it definitely feels mothering. Nurturing is how I would describe it so far. Like I said, I haven't used it a lot. And I really like that about it. But yeah, it's very pretty. And it's cool that it will be available, because this was originally independently published, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it's lovely, and I love that it's borderless, and this was the first card that I drew actually, which is really cute and pretty. So yeah, very lovely. I really like the colours. It's really soothing, I think. Nurturing and soothing is how I would describe my experience with it thus far. And it's just really nice. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like nice is such an underrated term. I don't mean that in like an indifferent sort of way. I mean as like, you know, sliding into a warm bath. It's just nice. Like there's no resistance. It's just nice. That's how I feel about this. I'm sorry if I'm not explaining things very well, but yeah. Just really like it, really, which is, yeah. I hope that I don't want to show too many cards. I don't want this to turn into like a review, because I haven't thought that through enough. I'd have to think a lot more critically about my experience of something in order to do a review, and I don't really feel like doing that right now. I have been thinking about making some videos though, but I'm just not really in the mood to make like complex videos. You know, that require a lot of thinking and forethought and editing and stress about how it's going to be received online. I did film a video that I was going to put up, but then didn't, just because I just kind of can't be fucked. So I was thinking there's a few videos I want to do though. Like I want to do a video just sharing some of the decks that I really like for like my therapeutic tarot sort of work. Some are like literally just tarot decks that we have, you know, just like regular decks. But then I also have a few decks that are quite like specific to that sort of work. Like I've spoken before about the Recovery Oracle. And there's a couple of decks in my collection like that that are very, I don't want to say psychology oriented, but like self-help, self-improvement oriented that I have that have been really useful in the sort of exercises that I've already given in my therapeutic tarot series, but also just in terms of that similar work, but not those explicit activities that I've set out, if that makes sense. It's late at night. I'm not the most eloquent person without editing. So I do apologize for that. I'm just looking at my my tarot, my YouTube notebook. This is a video I did recently, which was, should I use the guidebook spread? I know it's really simple, but I really like that spread and I use it a lot. Yeah, I have a few notes, but I don't know. Sometimes I go through phases of feeling like every video I put up has to be like useful in a very specific way. Like I feel like I should be contributing something valuable to the community. And I suppose in those times I forget that entertainment is a valid form of content. And so I put a lot of pressure on myself to put in like informative or educational or, you know, just content that people would be searching for because they want an answer, sort of. Or not an answer, but do you know what I mean? Like I put a lot of pressure on myself in those times to put that sort of content out. And right now I can't be fucked with that sort of content. I'm not always the best at finding a middle ground. So right now I'm feeling much more like I just want to show you pretty cards, and I just want to talk about cool books, which is more than entertainment value, which I sometimes I value entertainment content from other people so much. I think, you know, entertainment on YouTube is hugely valuable. Like, for a lot of us, that's what we come to YouTube for. And I don't like that idea that content is only valuable if it's literally giving us something. Because, you know, we pay for movies, we pay for telly, we pay to go see plays, and a lot of the time that's just to chill out and enjoy something. And I think enjoyment is amazing. Like, I don't think we always have to be learning and pushing ourselves to learn something more. Sometimes we can just enjoy stuff. But I struggle sometimes feeling like that I can be valid on the platform without giving something more than just chatting and entertainment and hanging out. But that's all kind of what I have energy for at the moment. So that's why I think, actually, while we're on this topic, I think a couple of people got quite upset with me when I said that reviews and unboxings are different. I stand by that. But what I did not mean to do was to say that unboxings are bad or wrong or invalid. I love unboxings. I just think that they provide something different to reviews. To me, reviews are that informative content, whereas unboxings are more entertainment. And I think both are valid. I just think they're different things, if that makes sense. So yeah, if anyone was a bit upset with me thinking that I was calling out unboxings and being like, you shouldn't do unboxings because, you know, that's not what I meant. I just meant, don't call them the same thing, but both are great. Oh, where are we? I think Blair's wandering around the house, so if you hear any like footsteps or banging, that's Blair. Oh, I have a few, okay. I'm here on the Central Coast. Central Coast of New South Wales? Or, because I often hear Central Coast is New South Wales. But I don't know if you mean, does Victoria have a Central Coast too? I'm not from Victoria originally, so I don't know. I'm not used to hearing that about Victoria, only of New South Wales, that's what I mean. I'm new to tarot and have really enjoyed watching your videos. I just wanted to say hi. I got to live in Sydney for 4 years. My husband is from Australia and we're back in the US. Oh, cool. Do you have a favourite Australian themed deck? Well, I have a few favourite decks that are from Australia. My number one, I can't reach it, I'm afraid. And I don't want to say that, I mean, I have the Dreamtime reading cards and the Saltwater reading cards, both by Laura Bowen, which are Aboriginal decks. And those are two of my favourite. I also have the Australian Wildflower reading cards by Sherilyn Darcy, which is another favourite. I also have, I always forget what it's called, the Wisdom of the Australian Animals Oracle, but that one's out of print, which is cool. And then tarot decks, I have Dreams of Gaia, but that's not like Australian themed, it's just by an Australian artist, but it feels very Australian summer to me, which I've spoken about before. But yeah, we tend to have more Australian oracle decks, and actually like Blue Angel and Rockpool are both Australian publishers, so a lot of their creators are Australian, although not all, obviously. But yeah, those are a few that come to mind. I feel like I'm forgetting something really important, but what are you gonna do? Entertainment, yes, but you have spent many hours reading and getting familiar with the decks to have something valuable to say about each thing. You're also pleasant to hear when you speak. Thank you. Reviews and unboxings are very different things. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Totally agree with you about the difference between unboxings and reviews. I need recommendations for tarot card beginners, please. I've done 2 whole videos on deck recommendations for beginners, actually. You can go to my channel. I think one of them is you can either search my channel, or if you go to my channel page and look at the most popular videos or whatever, they come up in like the top 10 or something. Like they're there, they're easy to find. Yeah, top tarot decks for beginner. I've done 2 of them, so hope that helps. Yep, New South Wales. Okay, yes. My grandparents live in Bateman's Bay, so I go there every now and then. Is that Central Coast? That's Southern Coast, isn't it? I forget. But anyway, yes. I was from Central New South Wales, or from Griffith, originally. This is where I was born and a lot of my family is. Oh my god, I just noticed your tower patriarch. Oh yeah! Isn't it cool? I don't know, you can't see the whole thing. Can I do this without like knocking everything over? Oh my god. Oh my god, yeah, see that? Oh, it's so cool. Isn't it cool? I wanted to have something there because it looked a bit funny just having a white wall, and when I found that, I was like, I think this is me. I think this is very me. Fuck the patriarchy. I wanted to get a parrot and teach it to say fuck the patriarchy, and then to take it to protests and have it on my shoulders, or like have it, you know, if somebody, I'm like invite someone new over to see, like I'll be like, hey, come over, I'll make you dinner and a cup of tea and we can hang out. And then my parrot like yells at them when they walk in the door, fuck the patriarchy. It's like a dream of mine. Don't think it's gonna happen. Living in an apartment, having a parrot, maybe not the best thing, but having a parrot that says fuck the patriarchy, definitely the best thing. Also this though, that'll do until I have a parrot. Yeah, cool. You know, I love it. I got it from like the Society 6 website or something. I got a few things from there. Some of them are great and some of them are terrible quality. Like I got a bag. It's just got like a BTS thing on it that I put like all my clothes in to get changed for dancing. And I got like a J-Hope hoodie and it's got him with the Just Dance thing on the back. That's already peeling, which is a bit annoying. And I did get a skin for my iPhone, but like the sticker tore as soon as I tried to pull it off. So the bag is great. That is great. The hoodies, some of the other items, so it's a bit of hit and miss. But yeah, that's where I got that from, Society 6. Sometimes self-awareness over self-consciousness is more comfortable path. You are loved. I'm not sure what that's referring to, but it's very, very nice. Oh wow, I was just turned on to Society 6. Had to get shower curtains for my newly painted bathrooms. Society 6 is inconsistent. Yes, I have discovered that. That was the first thing I bought and I was like, this is amazing. And so I bought a bunch of other things and I was like, 50-50. 50% of it's great, 50% of it is shit. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'd really want to order from there again. And I haven't looked into like their business at all, so I don't know if they're a dodgy group or whatnot, but that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I was wondering when someone would notice. I just wanted to kind of like casually have it in the background and someone one day be like, hey, what's behind you? Be like, well. But there you go. Me moving around in live chats does that. Yeah, no, it's really cool. I got the smallest one. So that's a sense, and like it goes, yeah, it's massive. But yeah, just, it's huge. Oh, are they? Maybe I should message them. I'm so bad at complaining unless I'm not. If I'm in like the mood, girl, I can write a mean complaint email. But when I'm not, I'm just like, oh, I don't know. Maybe it was just me. I wrote a really good complaint email last week, actually. I went to a bar with a friend before we went to a comedy show. Same friend I went to a comedy show with tonight, actually. But before we went to we went into the bar to have some drinks beforehand, and they had a big cocktails menu. And so I was like, awesome. I would love, they had a mojito. And so I was like, oh, can I have a virgin mojito? And the girl just looked at me, looked me up and down like I just, you know, insulted her mother. And then like got her supervisor to come over, and he wouldn't even look at me. He was just like, nope. I was like, I'm sorry? He's like, nope, we don't do mocktails. I'm like, can I just want like the mocktail, like the mojito, but no alcohol in it. nope, nope, we don't do that. And I was like, what? Like, he was so rude to me. And so then, like, she started pouring my friend's drink, and we were just like, yeah, no, I don't think we'll drink here. And my friend was like, nope. And I was like, thank you so much for supporting me in that. And so she's like, well, are we going to complain now? I was like, yes, we are. So yeah, we went and complained, and, you know, people were kind of like, oh, it's not a big deal. I'm like, actually it is, like, responsible service of alcohol, and, you know, I can't drink, like, that's a bit dicky to not give me some soda water instead of some grog. Like, that's kind of fucked up when you think about it. Yeah, so I wrote a long complaint email, and I got a really good response back, which was cool. But anyway, so I can write complaint emails when I'm passionate about something. But when it's, you know, a dodgy sticker, I don't know. But maybe I should. It's a place for artists to sell their work on different objects. It's a cool idea, but they should be more concerned about privacy. Oh, quality. Yes. Yeah. There's another website that's similar, isn't there? I don't know how I came across it, actually. I don't even remember. You know how it's one of those things that you just are all of a sudden at and you don't remember how you got there? The internet, am I right? I'm all about anything that says fuck the patriarchy. I say it regularly. Me too, sis. Don't worry. I noticed the tower right away, but did not say anything. I thought it was tarot related, but I did not realize. Yeah, it's tarot and feminism. So good. Katey, Eliza West's comment was held for review. I allowed it. The fuck the patriarchy one? Yeah, cool. Sounds good. Yeah, there's several, I think, of websites of like that. I'm thirsty. How is everyone? I've been talking for, holy shit, I can talk, can't I? Oh. I'm just trying to think if there was anything else. I suppose just wanted to let you know that, yeah, I am going to try and film some videos tomorrow, but I'm not sure if I'll get time. I just have been really busy. And it's like when I do have an hour to spare, I don't really feel like, you know, getting dressed up, getting my makeup done and thinking my thoughts out so I can film a video so that I can edit it. I usually just sit down to read, which is why I'm getting through big stacks of books, which is a good thing, but also means that I just haven't filmed for a while. And yeah, I think also the fact that I did film that video and I kept editing it and I just wasn't getting it to a place where I felt like I definitely said things I wanted to say, but I feel like I was too emotional when I filmed it, so when I was editing it, it wasn't coming together in a way that was clear enough, I suppose. And so I kept trying to edit it to get it there, and it just wasn't happening. So I've spent like way too many hours on a video that I'm never going to publish, which is always a bit frustrating. And so then you're like a bit reluctant to sit down and film again because you're like, well, is this even going to happen? So that's why I just have to film some easy, fun, light videos, I think. But that happens sometimes. Sometimes you make something that isn't quite what you wanted it to be, you know, and that's okay. But yeah, gonna try and make some videos soon. But also, I'm just having a really good time. Life is great for me at the moment. Yeah, I don't think I'm just in a really, really happy, good spot. But I'm also very busy. So YouTube just hasn't been as much of a priority as it once was. Because I don't know how long you guys have been with me, but when I first started YouTube, like how long ago? Let me check. When I first started YouTube, oldest. October 6th, 2014 was when I uploaded my first video, which is cringy as fuck and no longer available. October 6th, 2014. I had just come out of hospital the last time. So I'd been in hospital 3 times in those kind of last 18 months. And I came out in August, I think, the third time. So, yeah, I didn't have a job. I was on the disability pension. I'd lost a lot of friends. The few friends that I did have, I think I only had 1 or 2 friends who lived in Melbourne. Mum and Dad had just moved to Melbourne. Yeah, so I was very isolated. I wasn't at uni anymore. I didn't really have anything except YouTube. So I owe a lot to YouTube for that. YouTube was so important to me back then. It gave me an outlet and a space for community that I just didn't have access to, which is incredible. But it's also incredible to think that 4.5 years later, fuck, I'm getting a bit emotional. 4.5 years later, I've been at uni. I'm on a bit of a break at the moment, not because I'm unwell, but because my uni's shit. I have not 1, not 2, but 3 different job, sort of 2 proper jobs, 1 other job that's more a passion project, but I get paid for it. I have a lot of friends, well, not a lot, but I have really good close relationships with a handful of friends that I, you know, do things with. I often have things that I'm doing, you know, after work or on the weekend. I'm reading more than I have in a long time. I'm really happy. Isn't that nice? Yeah. I don't know. Just really grateful for where I'm at. And it's funny that YouTube was such an important part of kind of building that confidence for me and giving me something to focus on and do. I know that sounds like, that will sound silly to a lot of people. Like, I literally had nothing. I had my boyfriend who was amazing, but you know, he was at work every day. I had nothing to do or to think or to focus on. And partly that's because I couldn't think or focus on much, but YouTube gave me exactly what I needed. It was enough without being too much, which is incredible. And now I'm at a place where I don't need YouTube anymore, but I still want it, which is kind of beautiful. But it also just does mean that I have other things that I have to prioritize, and that I want to prioritize. So it does mean that I'm here less, but hopefully what I can give has kind of improved. Hopefully, yeah, I don't know. I'm just happy. And I'm really grateful that a lot of you have been around for a lot of that journey. And I'm grateful for those of you who haven't, that you kind of just met me where I am and grown with me. That's really cool. I'm getting all sentimental and mushy now. I don't know, it's weird to think back on dates like that. Like, I literally just opened that first video and I didn't listen to it or anything, but like my face came up and I was just like, I don't even recognize her. She was, I don't know. It was just weird. Like 4.5 years ago, that doesn't seem that long, and yet I don't even recognize her. And it's all here, it's all documented. So odd. So odd. Imagine the opposite. Nope, all our beverages are alcoholic. Wow, fuckers. I know, right? It was so fucked up. Thanks, always appreciate your videos. Thank you. Happy is good. It is good. It is good. It's weird though, because I've been so low. I find I was talking to a friend actually whose daughter has anxiety, and she said to her mother that when, you know, she was having a good day and that made her nervous and she didn't understand why. And so her mother asked me, she's like, you know, do you understand this? And I'm like, I really do. It's because even if something's uncomfortable, there's something comfortable about familiarity. And so even though anxiety is uncomfortable, if it's what we know, there's some comfortability with being in it. And so therefore, if that's what we know and it's comfortable, when we don't have it, it's kind of like, what's going on? I don't understand. Like, that's an uncomfortable feeling in and of itself. And so now that I'm doing really well and really happy, I often find myself really struggling to stay in the moment. Like that's a thing that I'm really struggling with, is because I'm always, not always, I got to stop using those sort of terms, but I often will find myself like in a really happy moment being like, I am so happy. And the next thought is, but it can't last. And then I start thinking about what's going to happen and when. And I know everybody struggles with that sometimes, but I do wonder if mine's perhaps a little bit more extreme and a bit more vivid because of how low I've been and the fact that it actually wasn't that too long ago. And so I suppose everything good in my life feels so fragile and that scares me. But I'm also just trying really hard just to be grateful and happy now. Which is perhaps why I'm not always around on YouTube. It's because I'm just trying to enjoy how wonderful my life is at the moment. Because I know not everything can last, which is terrifying. But also, it's kind of amazing for now. I don't know. I'm just talking shit now, so maybe it's time to go to bed. Oh, it's midnight. Okay. Life is the strangest adventure. It is indeed. I started following you because of you showing up in your struggles. Oh, thank you. That's nice to know. Oh, thank you, Olivia. Yeah, I don't know. It's been weird. It's been weird developing so much online. I know everybody develops online, but I feel like I went from not the lowest point in my life, that was 18 months before I started, but a pretty low point in my life to a pretty high one. Like it's a pretty extreme difference in 4.5 years. But yeah, anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. I just wanted to pop on and say hi and chat, and that I'm still here, I'm still thinking about you guys, and we'll hopefully make videos. Haven't quit, haven't done anything like that, just busy living life and having fun. But thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for chatting. Hope you enjoyed hearing about all my books and whatever else I managed to ramble about. Melbourne, walking. Thank you. And hopefully I'll talk to you soon, whether it's in a video. I don't schedule these live chats. This is very literally, I got home and I was like, might pop on and say hi. But yeah, I'll talk to you when I talk to you. Thank you. I don't know how to end this, I always forget. Okay, much love, bye. And I don't know how to end it. I actually don't know how